Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Today is part two of massage ideas for your vibration plate. I'm just turning on some lighting here. And yesterday I did part one. If you did not see yesterday's session, I did post a link. Hang on, I've got my chair there. I did post a link in the event to the recording for yesterday, but you can find that on the main Life Pro page. I will repost the recording for today where I can as well. But today is about standing massage positions. Yesterday we did more direct and did require some range of motion to get down upon the ground. Today is going to cater more to those of you that may lack range of motion, that may be beginning to get mobile and maybe the balance isn't quite there. You suffer fatigue, or maybe you're just dealing with symptoms throughout the day, and it's just a 2 to 3 minute thing as you need throughout the course of the day. So today is primarily standing, shoes or no shoes. I had that question the other day. I never wear shoes in my sessions. I've become accustomed to using the plate without footwear. If you are dealing with some brand new orthotics, or you have foot sensitivities, some neuropathy going on, things like that, and you're just getting started, how you start and progress in using your plate is very different. And there's also a difference between exercise and therapeutic use. And massage falls into kind of, massage can be just as much a warm up and recovery for athletic training as it can be symptom management, pain relief, and recovering from surgery or injury. So it's really always important to me in my sessions that you understand there's a few things that you can adapt and change on your plate for how it feels to you. It's a very personal experience, and massage a lot of times is about just it's just a feel good thing. You want to get energy, you need to move lymph. There's a million reasons that you might use your machine for short durations throughout the course of the day, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So I just want to make sure that we are live in Facebook land. If you are joining me, please let me know if you can see and hear me. I'm just going into Life Pro's main page. And then for those of you that may have questions related to standing exercises, I would like you to wait until the end of today, my little ramble, and I'll show you just some options if I didn't cover what I was talking about here today. I did ask if need be for you to have a chair available for today. If you are dealing with fatigue, poor mobility, you're just following along and aren't able to maybe stand for the durations that some of my rambling entails, always have a chair available as a safety option for yourself. We're going to be using this partly for a seated warm-up, which we're going to start with today, but we're going to progress to using it as something to lean on and use for stability. So the chair is a good way to start without committing body weight. Maybe you're not able to stand and bear your weight. I talk about that lots. So when I say use your machine seated, I'm usually referring to a stool. This one adjusts, and I can see I've got it way taller than I need right now. But with a chair, you want something that's going to get you to a good 90-degree angle with the legs. And some ideas, I'm going to start with sensitivities, because I know so many of you are dealing with things like neuropathy. Maybe you're regaining function in your feet. There's a million reasons that sometimes the feet and the lower legs might just need a little bit of extra attention than the rest of your body. So one of the great ways to use a machine, this, call it what you want, in a seated position like this, it is like a light massage. I've got this going on a slow speed. All of my sessions are an oscillating movement. Oscillating is the most functional. It mimics how we walk. And in my 20 years, more people prefer the feel, how it feels personally on your body. Very often we talk about speeds and levels. I want to drive home amplitude or the intensity. So wider is more shake. Closer is less shake. So depending on your goals, your tolerance, and any chronic issues you might be dealing with, I encourage, from a massage perspective, like most things, I recommend a faster speed range. So, you know, if I'm on a Rumblex today, so I'm recommending the 30 to 40 range, but be more conservative with your feet for today's exercises. It's not about going wide all the time. Wide doesn't mean more benefit. It does mean more movement and more impact. So if you are at a point in your health where you're supposed to be reducing impact, reduce your foot distance, regardless of what speed or program you may enjoy. Okay, so I think you'll find the mid and high speed ranges complemented with a closer foot placement smoother, more comfortable, more massagey feeling. So the first part of this, where we're just seated like this, the majority of the action I'm feeling sort of just up to the knees, maybe into the lower part of the thighs. What I would like you to do now, if you are dealing with foot sensitivities, neuropathy, but you'd like to improve that while also progressing to other things, I talked about my pool noodle. This is a pool noodle that I've cut the width of a machine. It's a little bit less dense than traditional rollers if you ever do any rolling activities. What I like to do with this is just kind of wedge it in the arches of the feet. So we're resting the arches on the pool noodle. We're going to roll forward. So we're kind of doing like a baby calf raise. And then we're going to roll backwards. You know, something else to do while you're seated, but the arches of the feet, underneath the toes, there's certain areas of the feet that do not come in contact with the plate just standing or resting your feet. So the pool noodle is just kind of a way to kind of wedge that stimulus into the arch of the foot. If you're dealing with things like plantar fasciitis, sciatic issues, we're going to progress to a couple of tangents here. If you are dealing with plantar fasciitis, one of the things that you should be doing, or you probably have been told by your therapist, is to stretch those calves. But if it's progressed to a point where it's so painful, you can't even imagine doing that, roll the pool noodle forward under the balls of the feet and just rest the heels. Once the heels come in contact with the plate, the movement continues up through the Achilles, through the calves, into the knees. If you raise the heels, you'll feel the stimulation really is only massaging at the feet, the ankles. The contact point and the transfer point of the stimulation is the heel. So if the heel's not in contact with the plate, the ankles are just flexing. The calves are wobbling a bit, but the actual movement being driven up is more comfortable sometimes if you've got really sensitive foot issues, you've got that plantar fasciitis going on. The other thing you should be doing is also doing a little stretch. Something like this, okay? Go through the full range of motion. If you're dealing with sciatic, a variation, we're gonna get rid of this. These are all just toys that I want you to experiment and play with. There's no protocol. There's no Debbie's book of, you know, roller moves. Experiment with what feels good to you and use these inexpensive toys and combine them with your other Life Pro tools. The more you combine, the more benefit you're gonna get. So for sciatic relief, if you've ever looked on the internet, there's a term called the nerve floss. And a vibration plate, as I describe it, is just an environment that makes your positions more effective, a little less taxing on you, the guy trying to do the moves, and a little bit more beneficial through those micro movements. There's more activity going on into the muscles in less time. So the nerve floss is a little bit of a calf stretch. We're extending one leg forward at a time. Okay, but while we're doing that extension, we're pulling the toes towards us. This is the lower half of the move. At the same time, I want you arching your back and looking up at a 45-degree angle. Try and keep a straight spine, but I want your line of sight moving with your foot. So we're going to look like this. Looking up, hold, 2, 3. If you're dealing with excruciating pain, and maybe you're just able to lift and release, that's a start. You can also do this seated in your chair, but there's so much more going on if you're doing it on your plate. You may not be dealing with sciatic symptoms on both legs, but give both legs attention. If you're dealing with plantar fasciitis or you've got sciatic issues going on, guess what? One side of your body is doing more work and compensating for the weakness. So it needs extra attention sometimes. I would do on this one, and you know, if you're dealing with this as a symptom that's cropping up throughout the day, let your body tell you how often. So I'm not going to tell you how many times a day you can do this. Do it when your body is flaring, when you have the symptoms, when the plantar fasciitis is ramping up, when the sciatic is ramping up. But keep it minimal, 1 to 2 minutes. So perhaps that's 4 to 5 reps, or perhaps 2 to 3 reps, whatever is comfortable for you till you start feeling relief. I would rather by far you not overdo it. Be moderate. Do a minute to start. And if you need to, again, in an hour or two, do it more frequently as symptoms present. And what you'll find over time with consistency is you'll need to do it less often. The relief is going to start sticking around longer. So remember this one. It's a great one. I do it commonly, even just sitting at my desk. Another one that you can also do for sciatic, if range of motion is there, you're a little more fit, it's maybe related to a workout thing, you can do what's called like a figure 4. Okay, a lot of these are seated. Many of these can be done standing as well if the balance is there. But we're taking our foot and we're crossing it. The foot is free. We're resting on just the lower part of our calf. The ankle and the foot are off the leg. I want a nice straight spine, no slouch, nice and straight. And just by sitting straight like this, you should feel a very mild stretch into the lower part of the glute. I want you to push with the chest and lean forward. And you're going to feel that stretch intensify. Take this hand. This is really good for the hips as well. And just add a little pressure on that knee. So we're leaning forward, pressure on the knee. We're going to hold for 2, 3, 4, release. Good posture. We're breathing. Lean forward. Hold. 2, 3. For dramatic visual effect, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see how this looks. I'm shaking more because my foot is now on the outer side. You'll see why you want to reduce your foot placement. We're going to lean forward. Press. 2, 3. Okay. And you're going to have one side that's better than the other. I've been in the garden, so my feet are probably black. Leaning forward. This is a good one if you do a lot of sitting, even just as a preventative piece. With any of these seated massage positions, stretches, whatever you'd like to call them, for these chronic issues, if things improve and they go away, which is kind of the goal, don't stop doing them. Keep up with a few of these, maybe as a warm-up or a wind down on your regular routine to keep the maintenance piece and keep these symptoms away. So we're going to progress to some standing. I want to make sure nobody's having any issues tuning in. Hi, Vicky. Okay. I'm going to keep rambling. We're going to progress to some standing stuff now. If you are lacking mobility, if you have neuropathy, if you have poor balance, standing on the machine can be very, very scary. And I don't want it to be a scary experience. I want you to understand you're in control and how to modify on the fly while you're doing these positions. Today I'm calling them massage positions, but let's face it, guys, any standing exercise on the plate where you are bearing your weight, you're building stronger bones because your body's resisting gravity. That's how we improve bone density. Your muscles are getting stronger. Your lymphatic fluid is increasing movement. Your circulation is increasing. If you want to talk weight loss and those other things, that's not what today is about. That's more doing exercises. Today is just feel good and massage. If you're uncomfortable standing on the plate, I've got the chair here to give you a little bit of reassurance. Okay, so maybe you're just using a kitchen chair. There's 2 things we're going to focus on here when we're standing on the plate. We want to make sure that the knees are always slightly bent. There are always exceptions to every rule. There are reasons that I do for certain stretches or maybe toe touches, things where I do lock my legs, but it's not for a 10-minute session with my feet as wide as possible. So the knees are bent so the muscles are absorbing and we're forced to counteract and balance on this destabilizing surface. I want you a massage. A lot of times when you're standing here tall like this, you can feel things are shaken in this area. That in itself is very therapeutic. If you do a lot of sitting, if you're dealing with low back or hip issues, you're unable to, walk or exercise traditionally for long distance, long periods. This is a good way to start building up your ability to just stand and have some stamina. If you are tight in these areas, my favorite way to warm up is a little bit of a pelvic tilt. In my standing exercises, I do that very commonly, so I'll progress to the next one. We're going to do a standing low back and hip massage. If you are dealing with troubles in the spine, the hips, please reduce your foot distance before you try any new moves today. I want you with your chair leaning over, bar height if possible, and we're going to feel that sort of in the tailbone, the low back. The knees are still slightly bent, but taller. Now, if that feels okay and you want more action, we're at a mid speed. I want you to widen your feet about an inch or two. So go with the balls of the feet first, widen like a V, then move the heels. And you'll feel just by widening an inch, forget about the placements on your plate. They're different on every machine. You decide what foot placement is comfortable for the position and the speed that you're in. Okay? And you may find as you loosen up and things start, flowing a little bit, you can tolerate a little bit more. Maybe you can get a little bit lower down. Experiment with your angles while you're in these positions. What feels better? Do I like to maybe just stand tall? The taller you stand, the more you're going to feel it travel up to the neck and the shoulders. The more you lean over and get your upper torso in a different angle as to the vibrational plane of movement, you're feeling it, you're directing it and sending it into different areas. So the more you kind of experiment with how you stand and how you wiggle around in these moves, you're going to learn how to send that massage, that therapeutic feeling to those areas you really need. My favorite other one to do with this is I like to practice touching your toes. So if you're not able to touch your toes now, there's some kind of reassurance when you've got this chair seat here. If you did fall over, you're not really doing a face plant on the floor, but it gives you something to hang on to. And what I want you to do is just allow the upper body to hang. We're doing a stretch at the same time we're massaging and relaxing the glutes and the hamstrings, even the calves. Once you're down here, lock those legs up. We're not harming the knees, people. We're getting a better stretch for about 10 to 15 seconds, then release. If you're finding you don't do this exercise, you get a little dizzy, shorten your rep. You got a lot of blood flow going on. And just relax. Okay? Another one I'd like to show you, we're going to get a little bit more while we're standing. This is going to target more in the shoulders and in the neck for those that want vibration in those areas. A lot of times, maybe the range of motion doesn't allow you to get down on the ground yet, or you just don't want to. I've shown you how to sit in many videos and put your elbows on your knees. This is a good seated way to get into those areas. But from a standing perspective, bend your knees just slightly, looking forward. You're kind of doing a bit of a squat, but it's not as hard because we're resting the upper body on our knees. So if balance allows, maybe you need something to hang on to, okay? We're getting a little bit of exercise. We're getting more massage in the calves and the knees, but primarily we're directing it up to the elbows and the shoulders. Okay, you might fatigue in that one because you are doing a bit of a squat, but it feels great. The last little one I want to show you from a massage perspective, because a lot of us are dealing with, again, the low back, the hip, the spine issues. We're going to do kind of like a standing cat-cow. And this, again, some of these you may call a stretch, but because we're adding the movement of the machine, it's giving a really nice therapeutic effect. So what we're doing with the cat-cow one, the knees are slightly bent. We're leaning forward just slightly at the torso, and we're going to arch the back up, pull the butt forward, clench those butt cheeks, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, go back the other way. And through this movement, you're going to feel it in completely different areas. Okay, the taller you stand, maybe you want to do a little bit taller. I feel it more here in the shoulder blades and the back of the neck. Whereas if I start leaning over, more the bra strap. If I lean over more, it's back into that low back and those hips. Okay? And then we're just adding the movement. We're adding that pelt. Maybe you want to do varying angles. It's a little more fun. Maybe you get some tunes going. Okay? You are only limited by your imagination. You know, maybe you really want to go deep. Okay? And on any of these, a single exercise, you know, as needed throughout the course of your day. Maybe it's one or two that you're adding on as a warm-up or a recovery if you're doing a training program. If you are dealing with chronic issues, I really want you to start looking at your plate as a therapeutic tool as much as an exercise tool. Sometimes, you're looking at a vibration plate because it's an easier form of exercise or it's a weight loss hack, but we don't realize the therapeutic benefits just by adding the stimulation to some of these exercises and stretches that in many cases you're probably doing on the floor or in your chair anyways. So let's get to some questions. And again, today was primarily standing exercises. If you are gifted with more range of motion or you'd like to progress to some things more on the floor, that was yesterday. So I will put the post for yesterday's recording in here later on. But I do want to see if there's any questions and see who I haven't talked to sleep yet. Okay, I have Vicky. Hello, Vicky. You're watching inside your sauna blanket. Awesome. One or two of these little standing ones before you get in. If you get out of your sauna and you're all sweaty, just a minute or two, that standing cat-cow or a couple toe touches. Maybe you're sitting on it like some of the stuff I did yesterday is a great way to just expedite more lymph. If you find you're stiff, not from the sauna is a good way of relieving that, but sometimes you get so lazy and so lethargic from laying down in that darn thing, you need a bit of an energy lift or a mental boost, and it'll offer that purpose as well. Okay. What about piriformis stretch? Hang on. Did you see the ones I did just do? I'm spelling it wrong. I would actually, the one I kind of did, sorry, I'm jumping all over here, Jamie. I'll get to you here next. Vicky, the one where I did the figure 4, where I was crossing the leg up, if range of motion allows, is probably my fave to target those areas. If range of motion isn't there, start seated in a chair or laying on your back in bed at night. You can do, there's examples on the internet. But any of the stretches that I do or some of my faves that I've come up with over the years are started with a Google search. And, I visualize, I look at these things and say, well, could I do it on a machine? And if I could, how? Which kind of leads me from Vicky's into Jamie's question, what level of vibration? So for Vicky and for Jamie, if you're doing some of the stretches, certainly the ones at the beginning where I did the sciatic areas and the plantar fasciitis, I always use a mid to higher speed. I'm in oscillating for my sessions. Every model offers oscillating, so everyone can partake in these sessions. It's also more functional. There's other benefits like balance and better lymph due to the amount of amplitude that oscillating offers, the amount of movement. But I think you'll find fast with a closer foot placement is always more tolerable and short-term on the pain, more effective than slow and wide and choppy. So we've got to change our thinking about this. It's not a right or wrong. It's just a different approach because I deal with so many chronic issues. So, it seems counterintuitive. I've been told a lot of times what you read in your manuals and online, contradicts, but there's a Life Pro in itself has done a really good job of outlining charts and frequencies based on research, but it's so little of the equation where reality hits the road and you trying to actually benefit from using these plates. And what I'm trying to give you is there's several factors. It's not just your speed, it's a movement type. It's, understanding how to control the intensity. And with chronic issues, especially where pain is present, I really want to stress reducing the amount of movement. So not wide, reduce the impact. And that's usually where, if you're left sore or you feel like you've overdone it the next day, it's usually related to too wide, too slow, and too long in most cases. But it feels good while you're doing it, so it's easy to overdo it. The level of vibration, especially for some of the chronic stuff, Jamie, is a mid to high speed range. Figure 4 is good if that's something that you do now. I guess it's kind of hard for you to tell me through text, but if there's any stretches that you're doing now or are supposed to be doing now that are effective, by doing them on the plate, it adds that layer of massage, it activates more muscles, it gets it done quicker. So, sometimes when you're dealing with pain and you're dealing with inflammation, you know what you got to do, but it's the half hour to an hour that, we talk ourselves out of it. So if you can use your plate for a minute or two and do these exercises and stretches you're supposed to be doing now and start gaining relief, it's amazing how quickly you get on the consistency piece when you start seeing the benefits. And we're very short attention span of the human race. And if we're not seeing, relief within a session or two, we tend to think, oh, well, it's not working, but it might have taken you 30 or 40 years to get to the chronic issue that you're dealing with. So give these things time, but more, it doesn't matter if you give them a month or two if you've only used it once. If you've got a plate and you've been afraid to use it, there's no excuse. There's a billion videos here. I want to help you address the fear. But once you get past the fear, I want to teach you how to progress and start playing with some of this fun stuff. So sometimes the spot treatment, the symptom management is much easier to keep up on than, I got to do my workout, because it just sounds so demotivating. I hope that makes sense. And if you are, dealing with a chronic issue, or you just have some tension you want to deal with before you do the workout, today was a great example. If you did all the exercises I did today or all of the exercises I did yesterday, that would be a good off day session in itself, or a complement maybe to something else you're doing at the gym or in a class. If you are a conditioned vibration plate user, how long can I use it? Of course, I don't like to put parameters on it, but what's the point if it's taking you 2 hours? You can't do everything all the time. And if you find the results are plateauing, or you've been doing the same moves and the same settings for a long time, and you've got more than maintenance goals, you might want to switch things up, change the speed, change the foot placement, mix up your exercises, take a day or two off and restart, change something to kind of coerce the body and get it working again. If we just keep doing the same thing all the time, we're just maintaining. So keep that in mind. If there's no other questions, I know that you're all brilliant and you're taking advantage of some of the tips that I showed you today and yesterday. There's never, enough Debbie talking about whole body vibration machines. I've been doing it too long, but if there is a topic that I have not covered and you need to know about it, please let me know. If you have any questions out of today's session or something you would like me to discuss, please tag me at Debbie with a Y. That way I will get notified and not lose track of your comments. If you've tried some of these today and have some feedback, please let me know. And stay curious, guys. If you're not exploring and experimenting on your machine, you're never going to figure out some of the wonderful ways it makes you feel. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Monday. June is just around the corner, and it's a very big time, very special time in my world. It is Lipedema Awareness Month. For those of you that are dealing with lipedema, lymphedema, Derkim's disease, all these associated loose connective tissue and fat disorders, I'm doing a session on lipedema awareness on Monday, and I'm going to show you my fave, 3, maybe 5 moves, I haven't decided yet, to manage the common symptoms related with those types of conditions, and to bring you a little bit of awareness and understanding. So stay tuned for that one. I don't know if the event is posted just yet, but I will circulate it once it is. Thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of your week, guys.